Bitches, have you got any questions that you're bringing to me today, or am I the man of the questions?
I only have one.
Right. Well, in which case, why don't you start with that one?
Because I only have one. I'll go start with it. And I actually thought about it today.
Yeah.
Basically, when I was sat at work, there was a spider crawling up the wall. Yeah. And in general, insects and bugs in general, how did this spider think one day, yeah, I'm going to climb up a wall? How does he know he could climb up the wall?
Because he's just got conscious understanding. The same way that you just walk around, he just walks around.
But I'm not just. Yeah, but he walks like we do, like just on the floor.
Yeah.
But we're not just going to go, oh, I'm going to try and walk out the wall. You're not going to go anywhere.
He's got ambition. He's got ambition to do greater things with his life. That's where it comes into it.
What he's saying is you need to go try and climb up a wall.
That's exactly what you're saying. How did it go?
It didn't work.
How did it go?
Because I don't know how it works. Because if I was a spider, I'm a little spider, but to me I'm heavy.
Yeah.
I'm a human, I'm heavy. So how's a spider carrying his body weight up the wall like that?
Because,
I can't do that.
Yeah, I mean, it's a good point. I know where you're going. I know where you're going with it. It's retard
insect.
Central, but I understand. I've got a residency there, so I get
insect
it.
in general. But then, like...
How about, I'm going to take this one further, because I've got a personal understanding of this. What about a rat? Because a rat can do exactly the same thing.
And cats.
And yeah, I mean, in fairness, there's quite a lot of animals that do this.
Though.
When I came in from Saturday night, I looked out the back door and there was a fucking massive rat, like that big, standing outside, staring at me like that.
Remy's gone back to the kitchen.
It was.
Remy,
yeah. I said, so I went out, confronted him, and said, look, if you're not paying rent, you are going to have to leave. And he just.
I'm going to have to condemn you in your house.
Yeah. So look, I'm going to have somewhat of an issue moving from what it is that we're talking about now into the next question. Because believe it or not, I didn't think that the opening gambit for today would be how do rats and spiders run up walls and we can't.
Any insect, just an ant, it's just, how do they do it?
Have you actually looked into how marvellous of a creature an ant is?
No, I'm not a fan of ants.
They're very ugly.
They are wonderful creatures, though. Seriously.
I was watching the India Anna Jones movie. That's given me phobia.
Go on.
I was something about ants. They can hold, I don't know how much more of their body weight, but it's so much more. Is it like it's like 10? No, it's more.
It's a significant amount more.
It's like 60 times their body weight or something. Isn't it?
Hang on. James, hang on, for fuck's sake.
If you have all of them together, they can pick up you.
That, in fairness, I'm going to take this in a slightly different direction, just as I work on working this Wi-Fi out, or this Bluetooth connection. Do you know the world would explode without worms?
Worms?
If you got rid of worms, yeah, it's the amount of mass in the ground would become such that the world would overheat without worms.
What if we had no birds?
If we had no birds. It's a wonderful question, actually. When you think about that, it's interesting to think about how the dynamic of the world would shift if you got rid of one animal. And I honestly think the only thing that you could get rid of in the world and have a better world as a result is us.
Yeah, it's true.
Particularly certain people that work at certain industries with certain sized bodies that say certain things. If you're picking up what I'm putting down.
Yeah.
No, seriously, there's no other animal. I mean, even the most uncomfortable of creatures that people are genuinely scared of, they're not without their purpose. I mean, people say things like spiders. Spiders always get the shit for this because no one likes spiders. Yeah. If you were to get rid of a spider, there would be a tremendous amount of shit that would come with that. The knock-on effect that would come with you just committing mass genocide on spiders would be significant.
Think how many flies there would be.
Exactly. Think how many flies there would be.
Horrible.
Exactly, and you don't want that. We don't. So next time you commit mass genocide on a spider, next time you wipe the spider out. No,
I don't do that. I'll tell you why I don't kill spiders.
Why don't you kill spiders?
Because once I killed a spider, and loads of babies came out of it, and I felt sick, and I would never do it again.
I've done something like that.
I would never do it again.
I was really young,
and
there was
made me feel ill.
I was really young. There was a massive spider that just crawled out my garage, and at the time I was
it your dad?
Fucking terrified. But I stamped on the spider, but I stamped on it perfectly in a way where the egg sac just sort of spat out the back of it.
Oh.
Right, on that point, and by on that point, I mean not at all on that point.
The ants.
Some species of ants can carry up to 50 times their body weight.
Close.
Next time you go in the gym, try and bench press 50 times your body weight. See where it gets you. It's gonna get you on a viral TikTok of you break. You know when people get their fucking
tearing
legs,
my pec.
You know when people break their legs on the press machine.
Oh,
that's gonna be you
but
if you try and replicate.
That is just because they extend their legs out the whole way.
Yeah.
When everyone should know, just do it
need to do it.
slightly.
I had a genuine
slight
fear of that machine because of those videos for a significant amount of time.
I click off them straight away. I can't watch things like that.
Oh, I can watch them. It's quite entertaining.
Go crazy. It's horrible.
I'll
just sit there and say you're a fucking idiot.
Yeah, but James, I mean, I'm not going to incriminate you on camera, but you're not exactly someone who moves in the most wholesome of circles when it comes to your viewership on social medias, are you? I'm not going to say anything. But there are some questionable, not child-related things that you watch.
Are you on about the post I put in the group chat?
I'm on about basically anything you've put in any group chat, plus any group chat you're in, plus just generally your social media presence as a whole.
Before you move on, is there a reason you've just opened
to this one?
The book on that?
Because I find Mia Wallace unbelievably attractive, and sometimes I look over there and think there's 4 sexual beings there, and that's the one.
4 you want to have sex with?
No, plead the fifth. If money wasn't a thing, what would you do all day? What would you do if you didn't have to go to... Basically what I'm saying here is you don't have to go to work anymore, so you can just do what you want. Say universal basic income.
Where am I living? Am I still in a house?
For argument's sake, you can live anywhere within reason. You can't just upgrade to a £10 million mansion, but you can just pretty much do what you want within reason. Let's say for argument's sake, universal basic income comes in and you are on today's money £4,000 a month. So you're living pretty well. What are you doing?
I'll be out more.
Doing what though?
Walking about when it's not absolutely pissing it down. Do I have a car?
Yeah, you got £4,000. You can do whatever you like.
But once that's gone, it's gone.
No. This is your state of being from now on. You're retired and retarded.
I'd be playing a lot more golf.
Yeah, I bet you. That's probably where you're going.
I'd be turning myself into a semi-pro golfer, mate.
Semi-pro?
Yeah, I mean, in fairness, with this amount of time, you've got to be.
You've got enough time to go pro.
Well, I've been playing golf for like about 2 years, and I'm still no good. So it's going to take a lot longer.
Yeah, well, some of us aren't. Some of us just don't take to these things as well as others.
Some of us don't play golf at all.
Yeah, some of us have. Some of us are on a different wavelength.
Fishing.
Do you know my genuine? Because this is not actually a totally implausible question. Like there is a world where you don't have to work. There will likely come a point when money is by no means obsolete, but we've got enough of it where we can get other entities to do our work for us, and essentially we are pretty much free to roam. Don't quote me on this when it comes to 2100. You'll still be alive. But
specifically.
Well, no, he said last time. He said he's going to die in 2200 or something like that.
An example, and I just
3000.
overthought it, and that's just.
I think I would probably become some form of wandering hippie. I'd just walk.
You're halfway there.
Or
exactly.
in sandals.
Exactly. I'd grow the hair out, grab some Birkenstocks of my £4,000, and I would don a white set of overalls, no hat.
Okay.
And I would wander.
Respect.
So what would you do? Right. So I'm going to become New Age psychedelic Jesus. He's gonna become
You're gonna become.
He's gonna become Tiger Woods.
Yeah.
With some changes.
You can be my caddy, mate.
Why am I the bitch?
So you're gonna become what? Michael Jackson or?
I was thinking more Justin Timberlake, mate.
I mean, you're already there. To be fair. So says multiple MILFs.
No, you were Justin Timberlake.
No. We said this on the last one. We said that we clarified on the last one. She said Denzel Washington mixed with Ian Bailey.
Oh,
Still. You know, I'm still trying to get Ian Bailey on the podcast. I just won't do it.
Oh yeah, he never responded.
Yeah,
to that,
I'm gonna have to go around, knock on his door, and tell him that I'm gonna have to drag him out and say you're coming with me, and we're gonna work with that.
He'd be a deer shepherd.
I might become a deer shepherd. Do you know my
He
brother?
loves deer.
Yeah. I mean,
Is he?
Or bitches.
You do.
Me?
From the last time.
Yeah, James. Where are you
sorry.
going? Where am I wandering to find you in this world where we're just hedonistic?
Meet my deers.
Flattened on a main road.
Yeah, you're going to do your best to replicate a raccoon, a new age raccoon. Baby, it's a raccoon. Right, I'm gonna bridge that question with something that's pretty similar. Would you take $5 million up front if you could never listen to music or eat any food besides tofu again? So you can't eat any interesting food. You can't listen to any good music. So this means you're eating tofu and listening to Nicki Minaj over and over and over again.
And there's no other option.
You can no. I'll tell you what. I'll make it fair. You've got as much of a mix as you please on the point of music, but it's only music you don't like. Or you can have whatever flavour of tofu you want, but you get $5 million up front.
Tofu shit.
You can flavour it though.
No, I can't do that. No way.
For $5 million.
Music.
$5 million.
I listen
though.
to music every day.
Yes, but what could you replace that with £5 million?
Gains.
5 million is a lot of money. You're not going to have to do anything ever again. You are going to be able to become Tiger Woods if you want to with this money.
Gains.
What do you mean gains? Just stop saying the same word.
Get proper protein in.
Yeah, exactly.
I can eat chicken. Oh.
Your tofu is pretty good for you though.
Yeah, but taste. Even though you said you can change the taste of it.
James, it's a piece of fucking plant. It's £5 million.
I hate tofu.
Yeah, but £5 million. You can have you can have whatever car you want. You can live in whatever house you want. You have a nice wife. You have kids. You can eat whatever tofu you want. You can listen to no music that you like. You can go to the cinema as and when you please. You can go and watch any other entertainment you want as and when you please. You could go out every single night.
Technically, so you can only eat tofu, but you could drink anything.
That's true. Yeah, that's true.
Any meal you could drink, really, if you think of it.
No. I thought you meant you could just
drink a protein
You can
shake.
still. No, I'll pass that. So you can still get your gains.
Smoothies.
James, hang on.
Can I still have Shilajit?
Do you want Shilajit? It's fucking shit. It's. Do you know what this is?
I've never heard of it.
It's this. James, I'll let you. You're the man for this.
So it's a supplement that's found in the rocks of the Himalayas. Yeah.
Right. Very easy to get hold of.
It's like Michael Jordan.
Yeah. It has to be lab tested for poison. Yeah. Like arsenic.
Mine's not been lab tested. So.
Okay.
Okay.
If this podcast cuts short, you know why.
All right. It just cut to a scene of you giving CPR.
Yeah.
Because you're flatlined.
Clear.
But it's
CPR.
basically it's really good for you. It can help cognitive performance, support brain health, heart health. What are you pointing at?
Oh, I was just channeling my inner being. Carry on.
And is claimed to increase testosterone as well.
But it tastes fucking shit.
It tastes and smells like arse cheese.
It looks like Marmite mixed with black tar heroin.
But thickened massively, like it's so thick. You can turn the pot upside down, it just doesn't move.
Yeah, I mean, I've walked into a serious catastrophe here because I opened the top of the lid and got rid of the inner lid, and now it's all stuck together and fucking I had to throw it at the wall to try and open it earlier. It went through the wall. I couldn't hold on to it anymore.
Where did you put the little plastic top?
Oh, I threw it in the bin. I didn't think I'd eat it.
Oh, fuck.
So, yeah. I mean,
as long as you keep it like...
Every time I open that, it's not actually the gains of the Shilajit that I'm getting, it's the gains of trying to pull the fucking lid off. And so that's bringing my muscles out in abundance. In abundance.
It's... You can mix it... Well, you're meant to mix it with either warm water or warm milk. Yeah, I know. Don't have it with
Exactly.
water.
Childish.
It's fucking rancid with water. Even today, I had it with milk today, and even with milk, it tastes shit.
I'm gonna try and broach a little bit here, actually, on what we just said about. I mean, so we've established that you two are mentally challenged, and you're not going to be taking $5 million for in exchange for some fucking tofu. What would you, on the top of your head, what would you actually just riff? What would you miss the most if you did take this money? As in, if you were not a retard and you did take this money, what would you miss the most on food?
A rice box from KFC.
Oh, what the fuck is... You got all of the meals in the world, and this is the one that you... I thought you were a man of gains.
Yeah, that's chicken, protein, carbs.
Yeah, there's no fish and rice cakes in there, though.
Yeah.
So, and we've seen how that plays out.
That's actually more of a pre-workout snack.
No, I mean, not for who I'm talking about. That's a pre-workout, a post-workout, a during workout... a light snack, a heavy meal.
Yeah, because there's not that many macros actually in it. Because
Right.
rice cakes have fuck all carbs.
Yeah, but
in
he's
them.
absolutely hench now.
Yeah, but he doesn't just live off of fish and rice
That's
cakes.
fish, rice cakes, and steroids. That's the way that you do it.
Yes.
And with £5 million, you could do that. You just have to get rid of the other two and put some tofu in there.
Yeah,
I still can't believe that you're not going to take this deal.
Not happening.
$5 million is an unbelievable amount of money. Anything you want in the world besides those two things, you can get with $5 million, within reason.
I just don't think I think I would take it, but I just wouldn't listen to music.
Yeah, I mean, don't get me wrong.
Can you make your own music?
Podcasts.
Yeah, exactly. There are ways around this. You can hum. You could hum to yourself just consistently. That's coming out a bad way. You can listen to exactly. You can watch movies though, and you can watch movies, and in that movie, if there's music, you can listen to it. But
I'll
you
tell
can't
you
repeat
what,
it.
I'd like master the guitar or something.
That's a good idea, actually. To be fair, fair enough. Actually, that's a pretty good way of getting around
Any
this.
instrument like that.
You can't master it by listening to anything, but you can play yourself music. So if you're walking down the street, you're not putting headphones in. You're just walking with a set of
Or
drums.
ukulele. You spend all that money getting good lessons though. So
Exactly. You could become a serious. You could become a serious master at this.
yeah.
So I was just playing a SpongeBob song in my head.
I thought when I wanted to shotgun effect these questions as much as possible, and by that I mean have no fucking clue, like no rhyme or reason between any of them. It's just three retards sitting in a shed talking.
Sounds right.
And with that, I thought, if there's any question that is well purposed for the two of you of all people, it's quite possibly this one. Would you live on Mars?
I don't know enough about it.
Right. Let's
There's not much there, though.
let's work.
Is it just me and James together? That'd be quite funny.
You'll repopulate.
Imagine we just hit driving range.
If the
Yeah,
driving
you've got
range, it
you've got
is a
the-
whole driving range.
Yeah, you have the grandest driving range in the universe,
With less gravity. Ball goes further.
and no Tiger Woods.
And no Tiger Woods, we are the best players on
That's
planet
fine.
Mars.
That's
You
fine.
know, I'll set the scene. You're going up with
Martin.
10,000 people, excluding Martin, to repopulate. You are going to be the first generation of Mars.
Mm-hmm.
You're not coming back. You have to stay, and you go tomorrow. Would you go?
Yeah.
Why not?
Why? Right. First of all, James, why?
I just do it for my own personal experience. Just be
Yeah.
kind of fucking cool to be just
Would it?
somewhere else.
It might be fucking shit up there.
Space is cool.
We're already in space.
What he said.
Yeah.
We're already in space. Well, we're in a cabin, but everyone else.
No,
is
but
in space.
it's just like the thought of going to a different planet.
But, like, is
being
it
like the
like-
first humans on a different
Would it
planet.
be anything like Earth? You know
No.
how we go outside
nothing
and
like Earth.
you see the sky and the clouds? Will you go on Mars and just see stars and that?
Do you know, this is something
Not
I've
really.
thought about extensively. James sounds like he knows something here, so go for it.
Okay, so you know how our sky is blue because that's our atmosphere, right? So Mars is the same. It has an atmosphere, just different colour. So the sky would be a slight different colour. Sunsets there are actually blue, And you would still see stars. They would just be different stars because the planet is placed differently in the solar system. So we see different constellations.
That'd be so cool. I'd be there tomorrow.
Okay, I've changed his mind.
So
Did
you're
you say
going?
no first?
You're both going?
No. So we're
Yeah.
going.
Yeah.
You're going to have to leave everyone here, though,
I'll just
including some people.
FaceTime them.
Yeah.
You can't.
FaceTime.
EE hasn't established
It would take like 3 years to reach.
Yeah. Yeah, you'll FaceTime them at 20 and get through at 75. Hello.
I've been waiting for so long.
Yeah, I mean, if you're trying to get through with a girlfriend on this, you're gonna have a serious problem. So why don't you text me back? I was in fucking Mars. Couldn't help it.
I did send a message.
Yeah, I sent a message 3 fucking years ago. Why didn't you reply? Because I'm dead. So I asked my mum about this on a sort of slightly separate point about would you go to the moon? Because of course we can already go unless you ask certain
Mentally
people.
challenged people.
Would you go to the moon? And she said no. She said flat out no. I would never want to go to the moon. Now, I vehemently disagreed with that. Her reasoning was that if you were to go to the moon, it would feel, or she thinks that it would feel terribly lonely because you're there and everyone else is there. But I'd go to the moon.
I'd quite like that.
Yeah.
I would go to the moon.
I wouldn't really mind the fact that it'd be really lonely.
Okay.
Because it would just be so, I don't know, there'd be something about it so peaceful.
The only thing is here though, James, there is a fine line between lonely and peaceful.
I would just find it peaceful.
And this is something actually I never... do you know what? I'm going to shut up. Why would you find it peaceful? Because I've got a question that's close to this, so...
Because there's no sound in space.
Right.
Because it's a vacuum. So sound can't travel.
There's no sound if you sit in a sensory deprivation tank, but you're sat in here.
This isn't fully sensory deprived.
That's my point.
Deprived.
Deprived.
That's it.
That's my point.
Deprived.
I'd
Yeah.
love to because you could
Deprivacified.
you're standing on the moon, you jump and do like 5 backflips. That's so cool.
Do you know, I didn't even think about this though. I was listening to a podcast with someone who went to the moon. I think it was Michael Jackson. And,
Still up there, isn't it?
yeah,
Well, he
still
did
up
make
there.
the moonwalk. so-
Exactly. I didn't even think about that. And he said that he worked on the ISS, and he said people will routinely get very scared of falling when they're on the ISS because, of course, they work outside of it. And I never thought about that. It never actually occurred to me that you could have a fear of falling in space because it just somehow didn't. I don't know why it didn't sort of occur to me that would be something you would think about, but it didn't. And to match that, people will combat this fear by holding on very tightly to the edge of the station because they're scared of falling. And I didn't know equally well that the thing that you can actually, the only way for you to move through space sort of fluently or cohesively is with your arms. You don't use your legs. You pull.
Yeah.
I didn't know that.
Yeah. Yeah, and well, it's because they're so used to gravity. They're so used to having something just pulling them down that when they are weightless, it just completely fucks with their mind. It's the same when they come back down here. Their muscles are so weak.
Your bones get very brittle, don't they?
Yeah. Bones, muscles, they get weak, brittle, fucked. But the only way to be able to counteract this fear of falling is to create gravity. It sounds weird, but you can make gravity.
How do you make gravity then,
So-
Isaac?
So, I learnt this from Interstellar.
Go for
Right. So,
You're going to just make it like this.
That's what God did.
So, obviously the Earth rotates, right? So, if you're on the ISS and you make the let me restart. If you make the ISS rotate really rapidly, I think I'm not sure how much RPM, but it's very fucking fast. If you make the ISS spin really rapidly, what will happen is when you're then in motion with that spinning, it will basically sort of like counteract the zero gravity, and you will then sort of get grounded. That's one way how gravity works. Obviously, because things orbit, they spin round it. The faster it spins round it, the more grounded it gets to something.
Does it ever occur to you, when you think about these things, how fucking intelligent the people that actually found that out are?
Yes.
It's
crazy.
It's insane. I was... Go for it.
How the fuck did Isaac Newton figure out that something has to be going at a specific speed round the sun or the earth for it to stay at that one speed instead of falling in and then being ripped apart or drifting off in the distance?
Yeah, I mean, in fairness, it begs a further question on people like that, of your Isaac Newtons, your Da Vinci's of the world, of how some people are so fucking smart. You know, it's unfathomable to certain individuals in a collective sitting in a shed how someone could be that intelligent. I mean, I cannot even fathom the idea of you sitting underneath a tree, an apple falling on you, and you thinking, oh shit, apple, same as the sun, let's work this out. And I can't actually remember, it might have been Isaac Newton who had developed a mass understanding of a number of he actually had discovered a number of absurdly intelligent things by about 27 or something like that. I remember Neil deGrasse Tyson talking about this. And if my Wi-Fi was going to work, I was going to tell you about, you know, the infamous Houston, we have a problem.
Yeah.
Did you see how they actually got back to Earth?
Didn't they actually go up to Earth? Up to space?
They went up to Earth, yeah.
Didn't they actually go to space?
Yes, they were in space. That was the problem. They couldn't get back.
Fuck.
I believe, if I'm not mistaken, they didn't have the fuel to get back. And how they worked it out was that they used the gravitational pull of the moon they spun around the dark side of the moon, and that propelled them back to Earth.
That makes a lot of sense.
To even think about that,
it doesn't make sense.
It doesn't make sense.
No, it does. So,
it makes literal sense.
Yeah,
but in terms of comprehending it doesn't.
Yeah, it gets explained in Interstellar, actually.
I fucking knew.
I know.
The source of all information. Interstellar.
It's just coincidence. So it gets explained in Interstellar. So when they go through the wormhole and they get to Gargantua in the other galaxy, which obviously is like near like this planetary system.
It's near Brighton.
Yeah. So they realise they have a problem. They can't go to all the planets that they want to go to and have enough fuel to get back. So what Matthew McConaughey in the film does is they come up with this plan where they go towards Gargantua, the black hole, and they use the gravitational pull of Gargantua to drag them in. And because it's a black hole, the gravitational pull is fucking strong. And what they did was they used the gravitational pull from the black hole to pull them in, shoot them out, which would then send them over the top of the planet that they wanted to go to first. And then what they would do is they then had the gravitational pull of the planet pulling them down to save fuel.
Yes, that's all well and good. You explaining it through movie terms, James, but someone had to actually work that out without watching Interstellar.
It is nothing.
Yeah, Christopher Nolan before he watched Interstellar. Do you know what? That actually really impresses me. The intelligence that some movie directors have with sort of creating movies about things like this. The comprehension you actually have to have of the topic is pretty impressive.
Yeah. Well, the black hole in that. You know, it looks like it's got that orange disc around it and everything, and it's like warped. It looks like the disc goes in front of it and over the top of it and below it. That was before we'd ever taken a photo of a black hole. We didn't know what black holes looked like. Oh
yeah, I remember hearing.
And then we took our first photo, and it was the exact same image. And black holes do that exact thing because it's bending the light, so it makes it look like the accretion disc goes in front of the black hole, over the top and underneath.
I mean, there's actually quite a rich history of movie directors, and by rich history I mean movie directors being predictive or sort of in tune with the extraterrestrial elements of our being, because you know Stanley Kubrick, Stanley Kubrick. There's a great deal of conspiracy on this point as to whether he was the one. When people say that we faked the moon landing, which we didn't, when people say that, what they're referring to is, I'm sure you've probably seen some of the footage that looks a bit shonky of the moon landing, where people say, oh, that's, the flag's not moving quite right there, or the footprints aren't, the various things they point to. What they're saying is tied to a sort of possibility that Stanley Kubrick was on a team that directed a fake moon landing. And there was an interesting point that I saw on this, was that one of Stanley Kubrick's movies is shot with no light. It was only candlelight that he used, so he didn't have any sort of proper lighting. And the reason he was able to do that was because he used NASA lenses on his cameras, so the best lenses in the world, which of course enabled him to record in such a manner. And there was talk and sort of conspiracy that the reason as to how he got those lenses was because he had been working on the NASA sets and had his fingers in those pies, which I thought was quite interesting.
Huh. We didn't fake the moon landing.
We didn't fake the moon landing, and I think people are actually... First of all, right, I'm just going to weigh in here. I want you to talk about this first before I say anything else. I want you to weigh in here. I want to see what Barney's got to say.
On this?
Well, I mean, on any point of this, it's pretty obvious that we did land on the moon. I don't think anyone can refute that.
I think it's a pretty stupid thing to try and fake, to be honest.
Why?
What was the point of faking it?
Well, because at the time, because it was the time of the Cold War, we, or the West and Russia, were in essentially a who's got the bigger balls race, and that manifested itself in some part in getting to the moon. That was quite a significant, because that presented itself as quite a sort of significant point of who was actually more technologically advanced, who was actually moving in the right directions here. That was why it was so important that someone, or it was so important, whoever got to the moon basically made it known. I don't think people actually understand, though, that on that, do you not think that if we did fake the moon landing, that Russia wouldn't have done everything they could to expose that? To go, hang on, didn't actually do it.
Yeah.
I think it's besides the 9/11 conspiracies and the chemtrails conspiracies by certain people, I think that's a pretty stupid one, the moon landing.
Yeah.
I love conspiracies, but I think that one's pretty fucking dumb.
Yeah, you've probably seen the people being like, oh, like why are the boots why are they smooth on the bottom, like on the soles?
How would they know what they're supposed to be like?
There's a photo going around on the internet.
They used comparison of what the boot actually looks like on the
footprint on the moon,
and versus the
what it looks like on the sole on the suit, but it was debunked like straight away. They just had boot covers. Yeah. Yeah, that's the thing. This is the unfortunate thing with conspiracies, or to a certain extent unfortunate. A lot of the time, the revelation comes in pretty much the most boring of ways. You know, the reason why something was the way it was is just because they had boot covers. You know, well, there's no great conspiracy here. It's something pretty explainable. Do you know, on that point, did you see the JFK files were released? Have you looked into that? No.
Did you know they were released?
No.
So the JFK files were released. So basically, I think it was 13,000 documents were released on the conspiracy or the investigation into whether JFK was assassinated or not. Or, well, not if he wasn't assassinated, who he was assassinated by. And I'm not going to go too far into that because I'm not well poised enough to do it. But I am going to use a sort of a point within that point that we can sort of ground on. And that's the fact that neither of you knew that those files were released. I haven't looked into them, nor has most people, even people that do know that these have been released. And it's funny that something that has been such a perpetual sort of conspiracy and worry for some people as to what happened with the JFK assassination has just been swept under the rug like that now that we have all of the information surrounding it. It's funny that something so pivotal, as in a president being assassinated, and all of the shit that comes with that people have perpetually been sort of unsure as to whether there's some murky waters here, just goes quiet immediately. And there was a podcast I was listening to with a certain conspiring Joe Rogan who was talking about the fact that, I can't remember who he's talking to, but he said, this is likely the way that we will be broken some of the most sort of groundbreaking information we'll ever find. If aliens were to come to Earth, and, you know, in the most typical of senses, I think, and he think, you know, I've got this thought from him, that it won't actually be a great deal of revelation, because we will just be drip fed this information over a period of time until it becomes basically sort of common knowledge, essentially. What do you think about that? Now slow down. No, don't jump in at the same time, seriously.
I was going to say something else away from that. Before you moved on to the alien bit, I was just saying about when you were talking about JFK, I was same conspiracy kind of thing. People are looking for old Maddie again.
Yeah.
Have you seen that?
Oh yeah.
I haven't seen that. Go
I
on
saw
to
something.
that.
It's very recent.
Yeah.
People are going to go on the hunt for her again.
What are they going to find?
Exactly.
Fingernail.
But I mean, this is the thing. Hang on. Sorry, you go on, Bonnie. Go.
No, I just think it's just, that's another thing that's been swept under the carpet, as you said.
That's what I mean. That these things do just.
And they do suddenly just pop up again.
Exactly. I think people become aware of the fact that carpet's getting pretty dense with shit, and they look under it and see what's there. But a lot of the time, stuff that is at one point really controversial, even infuriating for people, all of a sudden becomes the one day's worth of news that no one actually looks at because no one reads the paper anymore. And it's funny, you know, these things become such sort of side points that were at one point, you know, I mean, the Madeleine McCann conspiracy is a pretty tremendous one, actually. There's a lot of shit that goes with that.
Yeah.
And all of a sudden now, I mean, I think it's pretty obvious where that went. But no one talks about that. And there seems to be the sort of scent has just eroded here, and the trails run dry, and there's no more to be said on it, which is very strange. On that point, I am going to... Actually, do you know what? I want to go into the aliens one just slightly here. How would you feel if there was a news break tomorrow on a totally sort of different subversion to what is likely to actually happen? If tomorrow you read the paper for the first time possibly ever, and you saw that it said aliens have landed, fucking green blokes here now.
I'd think of Paul.
What? I thought you said something else. Paul's great.
Alien. I know. That's what I think. I want to meet him.
Would you want to meet aliens?
If it's like Paul, yeah.
If they're like Paul, yeah.
Seth Rogen starts talking to you.
Yeah, but if it's Seth Rogen dressed in a
Screen suit.
What's the alien?
Nosebleed.
What's the dun dun dun? This might have
He's
to
gonna
be.
meet Paul.
Might need to have a pause here.
We can have a pause here. Do you want to pause?
Yeah.
Yeah, all right.
I need to fetch them.
Pause.
Hey, stop it!
James, turn that off. James, turn it off. James, turn it off. James, turn it off. James, turn it off. Why? Yeah, I'm gonna suck that. Has it stopped? Huh? Has it stopped?
Put the
I don't think so.
put the little Nas X remix back on.
Gotta lick that booty hole. Yeah, I'm gonna take that dick in my butt.